session of the Second Republic Post-Cabinet press briefing to take us through the decisions reached by Cabinet. And the entire session is the chairperson of the Post-Cabinet Media Briefing Session, Honorable James Were. Joining me in extending my congratulations to Honorable Swere to his new portfolio and in welcoming him as our new chairman. Over to you, Honorable.
Thank you, Chief Secretary, Dr. Bushwa. And also congratulations on the new appointment as the Chief Secretary. Members of the fourth estate, Cabinet received a report by the Minister of Land, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Honorable Dr. A.J. Masuka, on the update in terms of the summer and winter crops marketing, which was adopted by Cabinet. Cabinet wishes to inform the nation that the Grain Marketing Board stocks as at 24 September 2023 for maize stood at 215,000 metric tons, and for traditional grains 48,026 metric tons, and 137,414 metric tons of wheat. Wheat stocks will last a period of 6 months at a monthly drawdown rate of 21,000 metric tons. With a projected El Nino season ahead, the private sector has been allowed to import additional maize and soybeans. And in addition, the importation of mealie meal by households will continue duty-free. The grain delivered to date is valued at about 66.6 billion Zimbabwe dollars and USD 21 million, and the government is making strenuous efforts to expedite payments. Pertaining to winter wheat, a record 90,192 hectares have been planted with an estimated volume of 420,000 metric tons expected to be harvested. About 70% has been grown by A2 and A1 farmers, attesting to the success of the land reform program. Meanwhile, wheat harvesting has commenced with some 900 hectares having been harvested to date. Regarding tobacco marketing, a record 296 million kilograms has been marketed, which is an increase of 42.6% compared to last year. To date, 127 million kilograms of tobacco have been exported at an average of USD 5.08 per kg compared to 111 million exported during the same period last year at a price of USD $4.59 per kg. The nation is advised that as of 21 September 2023, a total of 90 million kilograms of cotton had been marketed compared to 54 million kilograms marketed at the same period last year. Cotco has commenced the transformation of the business, which is being expanded to include value addition and beneficiation, with an oil expression plant being constructed in Goko, while seed production will also commence at the Kadoma plant. Under the Presidential Rural Development Program, some 35,000 village business units, 9,600 school business units, 4,800 youth business units, and 460 irrigation scheme business units will be established throughout the country. When fully operational, the program will boost yields and improve the rural livelihoods of our communities. Cabinet also received and considered the report on the update on preparations for the 2023 to 2024 season as presented by the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Honorable Dr. A.J. Masuka. Under the National Enhanced Agriculture Production Program, a target of 92,000 hectares has been set. About 40.8% of available maize seed is of early to ultra early maturity stage. The acceleration of the Tumbuza Intwasa program is progressing well, as well as the distribution of inputs across the country. Regarding the irrigation update, dams are at 82% full across the country. Some 70,316 hectares have been committed for irrigation maize program in terms of production, with a potential of 400,000 to 500,000 metric tons in terms of production. In terms of the summer financing schemes, government will contribute 642 million, while the Bankers Association has indicated that 68 billion Zimbabwean dollars and 160 million United States dollars have been committed for the 2023 to 2024 season. Seed sales for tobacco preparations for the 2023-2024 season are at 70% above last year's figures, indicating an increased interest in tobacco production. 40 contractors have been registered for tobacco production, with the total indicative area contracted is 147,835 hectares. Cabinet also received and considered the report on the weather forecast for the 2023 to 2024 season as presented by the Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, Honorable M.N. Law. Cabinet wishes to advise the nation that the rainfall probabilities of the two sub-seasons, which is October, November, December of 2023 and January, February, March of 2024, were determined using statistical analysis and other climate prediction parameters. These were derived from indicators that show historical trends and also based on early warning indicator tools based on natural, regional, and standards as guided by the World Meteorological Services updates. The nation is informed that during the 2023 to 2024 summer rainfall season, the three zones, that is region 1, 2, and 3, will have a higher probability of receiving normal to below normal rainfall for most of the sub-seasons that make the period October 2023 to March 2024. The bulk of Matabeleland North Province, parts of Midlands covering Gokwe North and South districts, and parts of Matabeleland South Province are expected to receive below normal to normal rainfall, while normal rainfall with a bias towards below normal rainfall is highly likely for the remaining provinces. The rainfall is expected to be erratic in terms of space and time, with violent storms, prolonged dry spells, flash floods, and tropical cyclones as the season progresses. The Meteorological Services Department will continue to monitor all the available seasonal climate indicators which influence Zimbabwe's rainfall as they evolve. Cabinet also received and approved the principles of the proposed repeal of the Frederick Clayton Trust Act, Chapter 17.02, the Service of Documents Telegraph Act, Chapter 8.13, Settled Estates Leasing Act, Chapter 20.90, and the War Marriages Certificate Validation Act, which is Chapter 5.15, as presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi. The nation is being informed that the recommendation to repeal the above-mentioned acts was born out of the realization that these laws have become obsolete and should be deleted from their statutes books. The Frederick Clayton Trust Act, Chapter 17.02, is a colonial era act which was enacted to give effect to the intentions and wishes of a will drawn by one Frederick Clayton in 1980. Frederick Clayton was part of the pioneer column, and the act differentiates between European and non-European children in the celebration of the annual Pioneers Day or the Commonwealth Day picnic events, which are no longer celebrated in Zimbabwe. This act is discriminatory and falls foul of Section 56 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. The Service of Documents Telegraph Act, Chapter 8.18, was enacted to facilitate service of court processes through the use of telegraph. The use of telegraphs has since become obsolete and has long been discontinued. The Settled Estates Leasing Act, Chapter 20.19, empowered the High Court to make an order regarding the leasing of settled estates. The Administration of Estates Act, Chapter 6.01, already deals with interest in deceased estates. The War Marriages Validation Act, Chapter 5.15, was aimed at facilitating the registration of marriages contracted during the War of Liberation that ended in 1980. A war marriage can still be registered in terms of the Marriage Act now, which is Chapter 5.17, as a civil or customary marriage. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Frederick Shah, briefed Cabinet of His Excellency the President, Dr. Edin Mnangagwa's highly successful visit to the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, United States of America, from the 18th to the 22nd of September 2023. The nation is being informed that in his address to the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, His Excellency the President, Dr. Edin Mnangagwa, stressed the compelling need to strengthen multilateralism for the world to effectively respond to the multidimensional and interlinked crisis facing the global community. He highlighted the benefits of the land reform program in Zimbabwe, particularly the record production of wheat and tobacco. He emphasized that previous crop production records had been surpassed, adding that the country is now food secure. His Excellency the President, Dr. Edin Mnangagwa, also deplored the continued application of unilateral sanctions imposed in Zimbabwe, which were causing immense suffering among the generality of the people. Leaders from Cuba, Lesotho, Namibia, and South Africa also joined His Excellency the President in calling for the unconditional lifting of the sanctions. The nation is further informed that His Excellency the President, Dr. Edin Mnangagwa, participated and contributed in the following meetings: the SDG Summit, the high-level dialogue on financing for development, the high-level meeting on pandemic prevention, preparedness and response, the universal health coverage, and the fight against tuberculosis. His Excellency the President Idi Mnangagwa joined the other leaders from the Global South in calling for the reform of the global financial architecture and the need for more investments in the health sector and resource mobilization towards the elimination of tuberculosis. Cabinet wishes to inform the nation that His Excellency the President Idi Mnangagwa also engaged his SADC counterparts, notably His Excellency President of the Republic of Angola, President Lorenzo, His Excellency President of the Republic of Mozambique, President F. Nyusi, His Excellency President Geingob of Namibia, and His Excellency President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa. The engagements were with respect to the recent peaceful, free and fair harmonized elections in Zimbabwe, as well as cooperation in the energy sector with respect to Mozambique. Cabinet wishes to highlight that His Excellency the President, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, also met the UK Minister for International Development in Africa, the Right Honorable Andrew Michel, and the President of the Africa Development Bank, Dr. Adesina, the President of the Afrexim Bank, Professor Benedict Oraman, the Presidents of GE Venova Canada and GE Venova Africa, either Chalmers respectively, and the executives from investments in manufacturing, production, and infrastructure development. Cabinet also received a report on the outbreak of cholera in Cholera district, as presented by the Minister of Health and Child Care, Dr. Douglas Mombeshwa. The Minister of Health also presented a report on the preventive measures with respect to the reported cases of cholera in Cholera district. Cabinet would like to inform the nation that the government of Zimbabwe has instituted a number of measures to contain the reported cholera incidents, and it has also mobilized equipment and infrastructure, which also includes for drilling, advocacy, and activation of the district civil protection unit. The nation will be kept abreast of developments on the matter. Following reports by the Harare City Council on the failure to provide bulk water to the city, the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development convened a meeting of the National Action Committee on Water Sanitation and Hygiene. The committee found out that the main challenges affecting the city of Harare are as follows: heavy pollution of water supply dams, that is Cholera and Manyani dams, leading to excessive use of water treatment chemicals, aged units which are also constantly breaking down, aged water supply infrastructure, leading to reduction in treatment capacity and high water losses, and the failure by the city of Harare to pay for water treatment chemicals to meet the current treatment capacity of 520 megaliters per day. The nation is being informed that the government is fully committed to resolving the Harare water challenges and that of all the other cities and the rural and urban centers. The government, through the Presidential Rural Development Program, has also drilled 301 boreholes in the past year. Furthermore, a rig has been dedicated to the Harare Metropolitan Province, and ZINWA will continue the borehole drilling program prioritizing suburbs which are not receiving water from the city of Harare? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for the presentation. I now call upon members of the press to pose questions on the presentation, which will be fielded by the chair and cabinet ministers here present. As usual, we have 2 rounds of questions with 3 per session per each round. So can we have questions?
Thank you, members of the fourth estate. The first question is coming from Privilege with respect to the Minister of Land, Honorable Masuka, about the broad plans to conscientize the farmers about the anticipated dry spells. Over to you, Honorable Masuka.
Thank you, Chair. The 2 questions. First, I think, is the plan for the different regions. And the second one is the violent storms and the dry spells that are likely to be associated with El Nino and what we are doing in terms of the communication. So the first one is really that what is grown by a farmer is not determined by a farmer. What is grown by a farmer is determined by the agroecological zone. What government supports is not determined by what government wants to support. What government supports is determined by the requirements of the agroecological zone. Hence, our emphasis on what we call agroecological tailoring. So we are distributing traditional grains in regions 4 and 5 under the presidential input scheme and not maize. We are also ensuring that the crops that we distribute are of early to ultra early maturity, especially for maize. We have instructed all the grain marketing depots to not receive crops and seeds that are not aligned to the agroecological zone. We have also had very fruitful discussions with the seed houses, whose motivation is likely to be profit, to not distribute the wrong varieties, the wrong crops in dry regions, especially maize. And these discussions are taking place on a weekly basis when we have this multi-stakeholder coordination platform attended by farmers' unions, by input suppliers, and about 100 or so from government. So that is going on very well. We are also complementing all these efforts with the sustainable intensive conservation approach from Butayipasa rolling out, and we gave an update today that just under 1 million plots have now been prepared, and we expect all the farmers to have done 3 plots by the 31st of October. So that's further climate proofing and also ensuring that the soil health is attended to, organic matter, and the mulching is done. That's climate proofing at household level. We also climate proof at the other levels by looking at irrigation, and the irrigation numbers were indicated. Regarding the El Nino and the possibility of violent storms and dry spells, yes, the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works is a civil protection unit. And within it, we have an early warning system, which is activated should there be an unfortunate storm. And the whole of government approach is adopted in this regard. So we are very prepared for the disaster risk mitigation and disaster risk management that is normally associated with this aspect. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Masuka. The second question relates to the Minister of Health and Child Care, Honorable Dr. Cholera. The question was, what other measures are you putting in place outside the borders for the government to be able to contain the outbreak? Honorable Dr. Cholera, over to you.
Thank you, Bruce, for that question. The
first response concerns numbers. This outbreak has been now on for about a month, since around the 26th of August 2023. So giving you the cumulative figures up to yesterday, 25th of September, we have had 152 cases, and unfortunately we have also had 12 deaths during that period. That's why we are so worried and we want to warn the public about the responses. Yesterday we had about 22 new cases. The figures are now coming down. There were times when we had up to 40, 50 new cases on a day. But now we believe the measures that we've put in place are beginning to bear fruit. Let me not go into details of numbers at each station, but I can only say that the most affected area is Muraminda, and we have identified reasons why we have these cases in Cholera district so much more than in other places. Yes, there may be one or two cases that we have picked up in the neighboring Wenza district, but they also go back to Cholera, because two patients we picked in National List had attended the same funeral, which was in the center in Cholera. So we have to first identify the causes so that we put measures in place to protect the public. But before I mention the things that we have done, let me just say cholera is a preventable disease, but if not handled properly, it can lead to loss of life. So it's a diarrheal disease. We have now taken the issue to train our village health workers, our environmental health technicians in the community leaders, to be able to identify those members in the community who could have contracted the disease. So anyone with diarrheal disease, we are saying they must report to health centers for management. The typical signs and symptoms, diarrhea, which we call high stool diarrhea, because you may think there are some rice granules, white granules. So we want our community to be able to say this diarrhea is suspicious. But all we say is anyone who has contracted diarrhea must seek medical attention. We have also realized that the epicenter was a shrine which was used for spiritual healing. And we are now educating people to say whatever your spiritual belief, you must seek medical attention. We're also in the process of consulting with the leaders of certain church members to encourage their followers to go to hospitals or clinics, nearby clinics, once they have symptoms of cholera. We have also mobilized resources to help in the management of cholera. Should somebody go to the clinic, we want to make sure that they've got the drugs, they've got the resuscitation fluids available. We are also making available, we've activated the civil protection unit in Cholera. We have sent members from Tare, which is the provincial headquarters of Manila province, to go and assist the district to make sure that everything is under control. We are also educating people about gatherings, will they be weddings, church gatherings, that the basic important thing to control cholera is basic hygiene. We look at the water that they use, because sometimes they gather and there are no ablution facilities. So we are discouraging these gatherings in the area. And after a time when we think the cholera is under control, We are also consulting with the schools to make sure that the children are also educated not to play around with dirty water. And we have also seen that the vendors, especially unregistered vendors, are the sources of spread. And we are working with the Ministry of Local Government to make sure that all these vendors are removed from the streets of Murangina. We are also educating the people not to use river water. There is a river which flows through Ward 7, and we have realized that villages around that river have contracted disease more than those who are further away from the river. So we are discouraging people to use river water. If they have to, they must boil it first. So these are some of the measures that we are putting in place to make sure that the disease doesn't spread very fast. So we have also a team which has left today from our headquarters here to go to Manicaland. These are specialists who will assist in the management of the disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mobeshora. The last question is from the Herald, Shamaita Morgira, to Honorable Dr. Masuka, with respect to the fairness in terms of value, in terms of the GMB swap arrangements, given the reality that traditional grains have got a higher value compared to the other types of grains. Dr. Masuka, in response.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Zamaina Morgira. Ordinarily, I respond to facts and not to subjective perceptions of reality. So the fact is, GMB purchases traditional grains at $335 per metric ton. The fact is, GMB purchases maize at $335 per metric ton. So the swap is at value, 1-to-1. I think if we went back, maybe that's where the memories are still lingering from, that in 2020 we introduced a promotion for the expansion of the production of traditional grains, and we paid the price of traditional grains 20% above that of maize at GMB. And you will recall that last year we said that the prices are the same. I know that in some quarters there's been some insinuation that it takes more effort to produce a ton of traditional grain, more effort to process it, and therefore there ought to be that reward. But having taken into account the advances that we've made with Funguza Intwasa and the higher yields that we can get with traditional grains, if we follow all the Funguza tenets, value for money is at a 1-to-1 basis. So Zamaida, maybe we can share more information about the sources of information. I'm not a journalist. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. The first question is from Chambakwe to Minister of Foreign Affairs with respect to the President's speech about sanctions and also about an alternative, aggressive approach to respect to engaging New York. When will we have an aggressive approach with respect to engaging the United States of America? Dr. Shaba, you can respond.
Thank you very much, Chaco, for your question. I think the most important thing is to ask ourselves who imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe, and then to check on that answer what the situation is when we go to the United Nations where we meet 193 countries under one roof, and we appeal to them and amongst them to those who have imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe. If you recall, the sanctions came about as a result of resistance, reaction to our land reform program way back in 2002, I think, roughly thereabout. And it was the United Kingdom who championed this cause. And they were assisted by the United States to champion the same cause. And if you recall that there was some mutual support between what Tony Blair then wanted and what George Bush wanted. George Bush wanted to attack Iraq for the reasons that they stated that they were weapons of mass destruction, and Tony Blair wanted Zimbabwe punished for the land reform program. So their colleagues, the people who support their ideologies, their philosophies, lined up to support them and to give sanctions to Zimbabwe. So, to apply sanctions to Zimbabwe. So, 193 countries in the United Nations are not all applying sanctions to Zimbabwe. So our target really should be the UK, United Kingdom, and at a certain point the UK and the European Union. But we all know now that after the Brexit, the European Union has remained on its own, and they've largely removed sanctions on Zimbabwe. And we are talking even now to the United Kingdom itself, and they are also saying they have targeted sanctions on Zimbabwe. So we are pushing that even the targeted sanctions must be removed, so that Zimbabwean nationals are free to travel, to link up with whoever they want. So in terms of aggression that we are talking about, we cannot do more than talk and persuade people to believe that these sanctions are hurting the people of Zimbabwe. And the same with the United States. The United States arm for sanctions, as you know, is ZDERA. It is a promulgation of Congress, and until they are satisfied that we are in the right direction, they probably will keep their foot on ZDERA and not want to remove it. Then they have the surrogates, the countries that support their philosophies, who will in turn express support and continue to have sanctions on Zimbabwe. And I don't think we can do more than to encourage those people to say the land reform is here to stay, and we want people to normalize. We want those countries to normalize their relations with us. Yes, you mentioned other countries who support the removal of sanctions. You mentioned South Africa in particular, but let me tell you, there are a lot of countries at the United Nations who have been supporting and calling for the removal. We have been supporting the removal of sanctions and calling for on these countries to also remove sanctions on Zimbabwe. So I think we are doing the best we can to encourage people, but countries that are opposed to our philosophy. In the meantime, therefore, we must continue to survive as a country. We must continue to think out of the box and to say, if these sanctions went for a long time, how can Zimbabwe survive? You have listened to some of the programs of agriculture, and so on, which indicate that we are thinking out of the box. Sanctions or no sanctions, Zimbabwe will survive.
Thank you, Dr. Shaba, for the response. The last question relates to Honorable Dr. Masuka in terms of the progress, in terms of the citrus exports to China. The question was, how far have we progressed in terms of exporting citrus fruits to China? Thank you.
And I think you Chair, Tolisan asked the first question. Tolisan asked the first question regarding payments to GMB and the perceived delay in the payments. GMB, under its current circumstances, has paid 70% of the amounts owed in Zimbabwe dollar terms to farmers, of the $66 billion worth of the product that has been supplied. They paid over 46 billion to farmers. The Zimbabwe dollar component due to farmers total 21 million. GMB has paid 10, 49%. And GMB is accelerating these payments in view of the fact that the summer season is upon us. So, urge farmers to continue to liaise with their local supply chain managers, and GMB will be making announcements regarding pro rata payments to farmers so that we can all start the season at the same time. And for those farmers that have still not delivered their grain holding and thinking that they will deliver at some stage, we urge them to do so expeditiously so that we can look for the resources to be able to pay them expeditiously. Machingura, the question about when will the citrus export happen? I think this is actually for the Citrus Exporters Association. What the government has done is to work out an agreement with China, with People's Republic of China, on a citrus export protocol. And this came into being early this year. The citrus season is upon us, so we expect growers to take advantage of this new marketing channel to be able to experiment with the first consignments. I know that it is the cold chain aspect that they are exploring, and we thank the People's Republic of China for agreeing to this protocol. We are now currently looking at how we can expand it to include other fruit trees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Ministers and members of the Fourth Estate for attending this session of the post-cabinet press briefing. We'll meet again in the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Chief Secretary. Thank you, colleague ministers, Cabinet Secretariat, Ministry of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, directors and officials, and at the same time, more importantly, members of the Fourth Estate. Thank you so much for coming.